I'm super late on this video and I'm not even gonna apologize because life has just been insane over the last month or so. I mean, we moved across country and we drove that whole distance back, so you're just gonna have to forgive me. And that's the exact same reason that I only read 5 books in April, even though my monthly goal is 10. So I am playing catch up all this month, probably next month too, because girl, I'm only so fast. Okay, but I did want to share with you our tradition of going over the books that I read in a month. So let's go ahead and dive in. So the first book I read, this actually was a carryover, and it's the one that I took on the road trip with me. So I just read it sort of when I could in those rare moments. My name is Venus Black. It is about a young girl who commits a crime, goes to jail as a teenager, and this book follows her as she is released from jail and sort of goes back to the real world, to her life. Amidst all that, Venus, our main character, actually has a younger brother who's developmentally challenged, who went missing very shortly after her initial arrest all those years ago. So now she's back in the real world. She's grappling with a lot of different issues. There's a lot of media surrounding her case, so she's basically just trying to move on with her life. It's one of those books that it really ropes you in with this really interesting and mystery-driven synopsis, but you actually end up staying for the characters. I enjoyed it. It's definitely a mix of lightheartedness, surprisingly, but it does tackle some really more intense issues at the same time. So sort of an interesting balance of a book. I enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars, so I would definitely recommend this one for you to pick up. This is the other book that I read on our road trip through audiobook because I was doing an incredible amount of driving, so this helped get me through. And it's the second book to the Bear the Nightingale book, which I read the month before that. I'm getting all confused now. So March. I read the Bear the Nightingale in March. Gorgeous, way different than the first book, as far as the first book was really an old school of writing style. It really read like a classic. This one's definitely more modern and therefore I think approachable to more people. More action driven, and I loved it for different reasons than I loved the first, but it's really fun. The third book is coming out, I think, later this year, don't quote me, but very exciting. It's nice to have a series like this to read again because I've kind of been out of series for a while, so that's all good fun. The next one I read is Lincoln in the Bardo. This one has been recommended to me, I kid you not, over and over again for years. So I decided to finally take Random House up on the offer when the paperback version came out. And I did read it, and I gave it about 3 stars, maybe 3.5, still deciding, because a lot of people said that it was really beautiful, really haunting, and at times funny. I didn't necessarily feel that it was ever funny. I didn't really feel like it was that beautiful either, sorry. I mean, it was fine, but I think this style is really, really unique. Let me just give you an example. It's a hard book to spoil, so I wouldn't worry about that. But you'll see that it's almost like a script. It's kind of weird to get into that style. So it's like a script, and then every now and then there'll be like a regular form. I don't even know if I'm using the right words for this right now, but just like your standard style. So it's kind of hard to get used to. I'm sure that a lot of people appreciate it, but I just think this particular style just didn't settle with me the way I had hoped. So lots of people like it. This might be just one that maybe the hype might outweigh the reality of it. So maybe get it from the library or borrow it from somebody before deciding if this style is right for you, or just read a sample. The first page really hooked me in because it was like a little mini story. And I kind of thought we were going to continue with that, but we didn't. We jump around. In case you're not familiar with the synopsis, it's basically studying Abraham Lincoln after the passing of his son, and we are sort of witnessing his son in the afterlife, and he's surrounded by other entities, spirits, whatever you want to call them, and they're sort of discussing his life. They're discussing their own lives, and it's very, I'm trying to think of the right word, it's like the opposite of I don't know, I really can't, it's really hard to explain. Some people are gonna like it, some people won't, and that's just the nature of it. It might be exactly your cup of tea, but just from my experience with it, maybe borrow it or at least test drive it first, read a little sample online or something. So that's that one. This one is The Last Equation of Isaac Severy. Touchstone sent this to me. It's a novel in clues, which is a very apt description because it's about a mathematician. He passes away, and then there's a lot of mystery surrounding his last work. We sort of follow that mystery, like, is there something larger going on? And this book, in a lot of ways, I don't know if you've read it, but Mr. Penumbra's 24-Hour Bookstore, it reminded me of that book a lot because they both have this, like, really fascinating premise that's like really directed, like marketed toward like nerds, you know? And so we go into it loving the idea and loving the concept. And unfortunately, by the end, you know, you've had all this sort of almost fantastical buildup, and then the end result is purely logical, and you kind of feel stilted somehow, like you were waiting for more, you were expecting more, and then you just never sort of get it. So I don't know. Some people don't mind that, but I kind of do. But it was nice writing, at times really beautiful, but I didn't feel particularly connected to any of the characters, so I did, like, it was fine. It was a fine read, so for me that means I just gave it 3 stars and sort of called it a day. So that's this one. The last one is a very, very, very cool book, you guys. I actually got this when we were on vacation years ago, and I started reading it. And just as things happen sometimes, you just sort of stop reading them and you don't even know how or why it happened, because there was absolutely nothing wrong with this book. So when we moved back and I was going through everything, I stumbled across this and I was like, why did I stop reading this? So here I am. I decided to just like knuckle down and finish it. That's exactly what I did. It's the Bedside Book of Beasts. And it is, here's the bookstore I got it from. I kept the bookmark. It's a wildlife miscellany, and that is like totally accurate. And it's really hard for me to flip because it's like a super high quality book. I can't even open it all the way. That's how intense the binding is. It's a pretty expensive book, not gonna lie to you. But it's poetry, myths, journal entries, anything that has to do with like wildlife, but particularly it's sort of on this theme of the hunter and the prey sort of situation. So really fun book to own, just to sort of have around. Do you know what I mean? Like you might want to pull it out for people to just flip through. You're gonna find that some passages really speak to you, and this is just fun. It's just a cool book to have on your shelves and to have read. And it definitely, you know, it is a miscellany, but it didn't neglect an overall message, which was the effect that the earth, animals, everything has on us, but also the effect we have on them. So really beautifully done. This guy wrote another book called The Bedside Book of Birds that I'm kind of curious about. He is actually in some sort of society for birds with Margaret Atwood, this author, so that's kind of cool. I might check it out, but just super high quality book. It's one of those books that you just have on your shelves for a lifetime. So very cool to finally read it, and I'm glad I did. So that's actually it. Only 5 books. I cannot believe I only read that few. Like, I usually read way more than that. So I'm not going to beat myself up too much. I'm just sort of going to carry on and try to catch up with my reading goal over the next few months. It's been so busy, and I'm just dreaming of a week of doing nothing but lounging around and reading. So maybe that will happen for me this summer. Somehow I doubt it, but I'm gonna keep dreaming about it. So that is it. That is my April wrap up. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye. Can I tell you something? If you liked this video, you're gonna like the next one. So go ahead, hit that subscribe button, give this video a big thumbs up if you liked it. And hey, leave me a comment below, because I love talking to you guys. Let me know what your favorite book was from April. I'd love to hear about your reads, and I'll talk to you in the comments. Bye, guys.